My dad gave my legacy to his favorite son while I kept the company alive. So I vanished, and now they're watching it collapse without me. My father's betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined, handing my life's work to my brother like I was nothing, forcing me to torch the empire I built and walk away. I'm a 36-year-old male and have been working at my dad's electrical contracting company, Harper & Sons Electric, for 14 years. The Sons part is supposed to include me and my younger brother Lucas, a 30-year-old male. In reality, it's more like Harper and his favorite son, with the other one doing all the work. Here's some background. My dad started this company about 28 years ago in 1995. He began with just himself in a van. Now we have 18 electricians and 4 office staff, and we're one of the bigger electrical outfits in our city, Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm not being conceited when I say a lot of that growth happened after I joined. After high school, I went to college for electrical engineering, earning a 4-year degree by 2008. Meanwhile, my brother Lucas barely graduated high school and took 7 years to get a 2-year degree from community college. "You're wasting your time with books, Nathan," Lucas sneered once, flashing his party pics online while I studied late. When I graduated, I came straight back home to join the family business. Dad made a big deal about how I needed to learn from the ground up. So I spent 3 years as an electrician's apprentice, running cables, installing panels, and dealing with other people's messes. Fine, I get it. You can't manage electricians if you don't know what they do. I worked my way up, got my master electrician's license, which is a huge pain, by the way, and learned scheduling, inventory, and all the boring but essential stuff that makes a business function. Lucas mocked me at a family dinner. "Still playing with wires, bro? When you gonna live a little?" It was about 6 years ago, in 2017, I finally made operations manager. I started implementing systems I'd been planning, like AI-driven scheduling and real-time inventory tracking, digital scheduling, better inventory management, and follow-up calls after jobs. Our reviews went from 3.4 stars to 4.9. Revenue increased by 45% in 2 years. Dad actually seemed impressed for once, but behind my back he told Lucas, "Your brother's systems are cute, but you'll bring the real vision." Then my brother Lucas, who had been bouncing between bartending and finding himself, suddenly decided he wanted in on the family business in 2018. Keep in mind, this guy has never shown any interest in electrical work. He couldn't tell you the difference between a circuit breaker and a fuse and thinks a ground wire is something you use for camping. But Dad was thrilled. His golden boy was finally joining the family legacy. Dad gave him a made-up title like Director of Client Relations with a salary that's about 85% of mine, even though I've been there a decade longer. Lucas got an office with a window while I'm still in a converted closet next to the bathroom. Lucas's job? Taking clients to lunch, posting on our social media, and occasionally showing up at job sites to take pictures of our electricians working. He strolls in at 10 o'clock in the morning, takes 2-hour lunches, and leaves by 4 because of traffic. At every staff meeting, Dad praises Lucas for bringing in some tiny contract while completely ignoring that I just streamlined our entire billing system and saved us $60,000, 0 cents a year. It's like I'm invisible. Lucas once bragged to a client in front of me, "I'm the brains behind our growth," and Dad just nodded approvingly. There was this one time in 2019 when I spent weeks putting together a bid for a huge commercial job, the biggest contract we'd ever gone after, a new retail complex in Cary, North Carolina. I even pulled an all-nighter to get it done. On the day of the meeting, Dad brought Lucas along. Lucas, who hadn't read a single page of the proposal, who was hungover and kept going to the bathroom, and who called the client's building that big place with the sign during the meeting. We somehow got the contract anyway because my numbers were solid. On the way back, Dad couldn't stop talking about how Lucas really connected with their team and how his people skills sealed the deal. My contribution? Dad said my attention to detail was helpful, like I was the office assistant. Later, Lucas smirked. "Nice paperwork, Nathan, but I closed the deal with my charm." Mom's no better. When I try to talk to her about it, she gives me this sad look and says things like, "You and your brother are just different kinds of people," or, "Not everyone can be as organized as you are." She once whispered, Lucas needs our love more, Nathan. You're strong enough to handle it. One day in 2020, I overheard Dad talking to Lucas in his office. The door wasn't fully closed. Dad was going on about succession planning, saying things like, when you take over the company, and asking Lucas if he wanted to start learning about the financial side. My name didn't come up once, not even as, maybe your brother can help you with the accounting. The company I've helped build. The company I've given my entire adult life to. And I'm not even considered a potential future owner. Just the workhorse who keeps things running while Lucas gets the glory. You're my legacy, Lucas, Dad said, words that burned into my soul. I kept my head down and got the work done. It wasn't like I could do anything about it. About 8 months ago, in April 2023, our admin assistant quit. She'd been with us for about 6 years, but got a better offer somewhere else. Dad decided we needed to hire someone with more office management experience since we were growing. Enter Emily, a 27-year-old female. The minute she walked through the door for her interview, something clicked for me. Her resume was impressive. A business degree, experience managing offices for companies much bigger than ours, and all kinds of certifications in accounting software. Dad was impressed enough to hire her on the spot, which he never does. Emily's sharp wit during the interview, "This place needs a digital overhaul yesterday," had me hooked. Her first week, she completely reorganized our filing system, which hadn't been touched since the 90s. The second week, she found about $25,000, 0 cents, in overlooked billing from the previous year and got it collected. The third week, she stood up to my dad about our prehistoric scheduling system and convinced him to invest in the software I'd been begging for years. I was basically in love. "You are the only one here who gets it," she told me privately, sparking hope. We started grabbing lunch together in the break room. At first, we just talked about work stuff, but then we discovered we both liked the same true crime podcasts. I found out she loves hiking, which I do too. Then it was movies, books, and all that stuff. It was so easy talking to her. After a couple of months of the lunch thing, I finally worked up the courage to ask her out for real. Like dinner on Friday night at that new Thai place downtown, not the break room with our sad Tupperware lunches. She said yes right away. "I've been waiting for you to ask," she teased, her eyes sparkling. We set it up for the following Friday. I didn't tell anyone at work about our date plans. My family has a special talent for ruining anything good that happens to me, so I figured I'd keep it quiet until things got more serious. Big mistake. 2 days before our date, I'm coming back from a job, and I hear Emily laughing in the hallway. That genuine laugh I'd been working for weeks to earn. But she wasn't laughing at something I said. She was laughing at something Lucas said. I rounded the corner to see them standing way too close to each other by the coffee machine. Lucas doing his signature lean against the wall, "Look how cool I am" pose. He was showing her something on his phone, and she was actually interested. "Hey, Nathan," Lucas called out when he saw me, using that fake brotherly voice he uses when other people are around. "Just showing Emily those kayaking pics from last weekend." Kayaking? Lucas, the guy who complains if he has to walk from his car to a restaurant when it's drizzling. Since when does he kayak? Emily smiled at me, but it wasn't the same smile. It was just polite, professional, the kind you give your coworker, not the guy you're about to go on a date with. My stomach dropped. "They're amazing photos," Emily said, turning back to Lucas. "I've always wanted to try kayaking, but never had the chance." "You should come with me sometime," Lucas said. "I go most weekends when the weather's good. Very peaceful out on the water." This dude has never gone kayaking in his life. The closest he's gotten to a water sport is drinking beer on someone's boat. But there he was, Mr. Outdoorsy all of a sudden. "That would be amazing," Emily said, and she actually meant it. I could tell. She turned to me. "Nathan, I didn't know your brother was so into outdoor activities." "Neither did I muttered, but they were already back to scrolling through his phone. The next day, Emily caught me in the break room alone. My heart jumped a little, thinking maybe the Lucas interaction was nothing. "About Friday," she started, and I immediately knew what was coming. "I'm really sorry. but I need to reschedule. Something came up." She hesitated, then added, "Lucas offered to show me some client portfolios and I thought it'd be good for work. Something came up is the universal code for I found a better offer, and in this case the better offer was clearly my brother." "No problem," I said, trying to sound casual. "Maybe another time." "Definitely," she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Sure enough, I found out later through office gossip that Emily and Lucas had their first date that Friday, the same day she was supposed to go out with me at the same Thai restaurant I had planned to take her to. The next week was torture. Lucas strutting around the office like he'd won the lottery, Emily blushing every time he walked by her desk. The whispered conversations that stopped when I entered the room, and Lucas casually mentioning their date in the staff meeting. I felt like garbage. "I saw you with Emily," a co-worker whispered. "They'd know you were into her too. Lucas moves fast." Every time I try to build something for myself, Lucas swoops in and takes it over like it was never mine to begin with. And of course, it got worse. Mom caught wind of it immediately because Lucas tells her everything. She called that weekend all excited. "Have you met this Emily that Lucas is seeing? He says she's just wonderful, so accomplished and pretty. She works at your office." "She's our office manager," I said flatly. "Well, isn't that nice? Lucas says she's very smart, organized too. Sounds like she and Lucas have so much in common." "Actually, Mom, Emily and I were supposed to go out first. I asked her out and she said yes. But then Lucas swooped in." There was a long pause, and I could practically hear Mom trying to process this information in a way that didn't make her precious Lucas look bad. "Well, sweetie, you know how these things go. Sometimes people just connect. Lucas has always been so charming with the ladies. You're more, well, focused on work, serious. Not everyone appreciates that like they should. You'll find someone who deserves you," she added, her tone dripping with pity. So that's how it started. Lucas and Emily, the new power couple of Harper & Sons Electric. But the worst part wasn't even losing Emily. It was watching her slowly realize who Lucas really was and pretending not to see it. The first time he flaked on plans with her because his buddies invited him to a last-minute poker game. The time she overheard him exaggerating, straight up lying, about his role in the company to a client. The time she had to cover for him when he was supposed to attend a networking event but was too hungover to show up. I could see the confusion on her face, the mental gymnastics as she tried to reconcile the Lucas she thought she was dating with the actual Lucas, but by then they were official and she was in too deep. Plus, my family had circled the wagons around them. Emily confided in me once. "He's not what I expected, Nathan, but your dad says he's got potential." Mom invited Emily to Sunday dinner just 3 weeks after they started dating. "It'll be nice to have a fresh face," she said. I almost skipped that dinner, but Dad made it clear it wasn't optional. "Family dinner is family dinner, Nathan. Be there." So I went, and it was exactly the nightmare you'd expect. Dad telling work stories that made Lucas sound like some kind of business prodigy. Lucas performing his perfect son-boyfriend routine, pulling out Emily's chair, refilling her water glass, and telling completely made-up stories about his adventurous weekends and charity work. Emily ate it all up, laughing at Lucas's jokes and asking him questions about his fake kayaking trips. I tried to join the conversation, mentioning the hiking trail Emily and I had talked about over those break room lunches, just to let him know what he ruined. "Oh, Lucas was just telling me about that place," Emily exclaimed, turning to him excitedly. "You've been there too?" "Been there?" Lucas laughed. "I practically live on that trail in the summer." That dinner was 5 months ago, in July 2023. They've been officially dating ever since. Anyway, I focused on myself and tried to adapt to it, praying for things to get better for me one day. About a month after that dinner, in August 2023, I finally got promoted to Senior Operations Manager after 14 years of killing myself for this company. This was supposed to be a big deal. More responsibility, better pay, and most importantly, the company vehicle. Nothing fancy, just a new Chevy Silverado 2500 with all the towing capacity we need for hauling equipment to job sites. Dad made a big announcement at our monthly staff meeting. After years of dedicated service, Nathan is being promoted to Senior Operations Manager. This comes with a nice raise and the new company truck we just purchased. Well deserved, son. But later, Lucas pulled me aside. Don't get too comfy with that truck, bro. Dad's got plans. For once, I felt like my work was actually being recognized. Fast forward to Sunday dinner. Dad's talking about some client. Lucas has got his arm around Emily as usual, and I'm just trying to get through the meal without saying something I'll regret. Then Dad clears his throat and puts down his fork. "I've got an announcement to make," he says. And I immediately tense up, because in my family, announcements are never good news for me. Lucas and Emily exchange this look, and I just know what's coming. "We're engaged," Emily says, holding out her left hand with a massive diamond ring that probably costs more than my yearly salary. Mom bursts into tears. Happy ones. Dad starts clapping Lucas on the back. I'm sitting there in shock, my fork frozen halfway to my mouth. "This is wonderful news," Dad booms. "My boy's finally settling down, starting a family." Then he drops the real bomb. "Lucas, I think you and your future bride could use that new truck more than the company could. Consider it an engagement present. You'll need a good family vehicle now. Besides," Dad added, glancing at me, "Nathan can handle the old one. He's used to making do." Lucas does this fake surprised face like this wasn't his plan all along. "Wow, Dad, that's so generous." I finally found my voice. "Dad, that truck is supposed to be part of my promotion package. I need it for work, for actual company business." Dad waves his hand dismissively. "Now, Nathan, don't be selfish. Your brother's starting a family. Family comes first. You can keep using your old truck for now. It still runs, doesn't it?" "Barely," I said, but nobody's listening. That was it, the final straw. The moment I knew I was done with this family business forever, rage was bubbling up. I was fuming, but somehow managed to drive home in my piece of crap truck. I got home and completely lost it. 14 years of loyalty, hard work, and sacrifice. 14 years of watching Lucas coast through life on charm and Dad's favoritism while I actually built something valuable. Something profitable, something that was apparently just handed away again to my brother. And now Emily, the one good thing that had happened to me in years, was also handed to Lucas on a silver platter, complete with an engagement ring in my company truck. I found a note from Lucas in my desk later. "Sorry, bro, you know how Dad is. Emily's mine now." I don't think I've ever been that angry in my life. I was never going to be valued in this family. I was never going to get what I deserved. I was just the workhorse, the reliable one they could dump on while the golden boy got all the rewards. I grabbed my laptop and opened my email, stared at the blank compose window for about 10 seconds, then just started typing. Subject line, my resignation. "Dad, effective immediately, I am resigning from Harper & Sons Electric. Consider this my 2 weeks' notice. Although frankly, you'll be lucky if I last out the week. I will be pursuing other opportunities. Sincerely, not really. Nathan Harper." I hit send before I could chicken out. Then I sent a separate email to our HR person, who's really just the bookkeeper who handles payroll, about my accrued vacation time, saying I'll be taking it effective immediately. I was not setting foot in that office again. Within minutes, my phone started blowing up. Dad calling, Lucas texting nothing but WTF and stupid emojis, Mom leaving tearful voicemails about tearing the family apart and being dramatic. Emily called too. I let that one go to voicemail. "Nathan, it's Emily. Your dad told me you quit. What's going on? Please call me back." Her voice cracked. "I didn't know about the truck, Nathan, I swear." I ignored all of them, turned off my phone, and started updating my resume. I was done with them, done with being the family workhorse, done with watching Lucas get everything handed to him while I worked myself to death for scraps of recognition. Dad showed up at my apartment the next morning at 7:00 in the morning, pounding on the door like he was trying to break it down. "What the hell, Nathan?" he yelled when I finally opened it. "Quitting over email after everything this family has done for you?" Into his face. "Done for me? You mean like paying me less than market rate for 14 years while Lucas gets bonuses for showing up to work? Or like promising me a company vehicle as part of my promotion and then giving it to Lucas as an engagement present? That's different, Dad sputtered, his face getting red. Lucas is starting a family. He needs our support. And I don't? I've supported this entire family for years. Who do you think keeps the business running while Lucas is out taking 2-hour lunches and posting on Instagram? Dad's face got even redder. Don't talk about your brother that way. Lucas brings in clients. He's the face of the company. And I'm what, the workhorse? The sucker who actually does the work while Lucas gets all the credit? I'm done, Dad. Let Lucas handle your business. You don't need me anyway. I started to close the door, but Dad stuck his foot in the way. You walk away from this company. You walk away from this family, he said. If this is how family treats each other, then maybe that's for the best. I shot back and pushed the door hard enough that he had to move his foot. The next day, Lucas showed up. I didn't even open the door, just yelled through it that he should leave before I called the cops. He tried the whole, come on, bro, don't be like that routine, but I wasn't having it. Mom kept calling, crying about how I was breaking your father's heart and tearing the family apart. You're throwing away our legacy, she sobbed in one voicemail. I've never felt so free in my life. The job hunt was surprisingly easy. I had 3 interviews that first week, all with companies bigger and more professional than my dad's outfit. 2 of them made offers. I took the job with Bennett Electrical Services, a competitor across town in Durham, North Carolina. They're smaller but growing fast, and the owner, Greg Bennett, actually values experience and hard work. Best part, they offered me a partnership track in writing. After 2 years, I'll have the option to buy in and become part owner, something my dad never even considered offering me, despite 14 years of service. Oh, and they gave me a company truck, a brand new Ford F-350 Super Duty. Better than the one Dad took from me. Greg said, Nathan, you're the kind of leader we've been searching for. Meanwhile, the Harper & Sons empire is apparently crumbling without me. I've been getting texts from some of the electricians who are actually decent guys. The first week after I left, Dad tried to handle operations himself. The problem is he hasn't actually done that job in about 14 years and had no clue how my scheduling system worked. He ended up double booking 3 different crews on the same day, then had no one available for an emergency call at the hospital, a major account that I personally handled for years. They were not happy. The second week, Dad put Lucas in charge of operations. Lucas, the guy who can't even remember to schedule his own dental appointments. Predictably, it was a total disaster. According to my buddy Chris, one of our senior electricians, Lucas showed up late every day, spent most of his time on the phone with Emily or his buddies, and couldn't answer basic questions about job specifications. They lost one of our second biggest commercial client contracts completely because Lucas forgot to submit the renewal paperwork. That account was worth about $70,000, 0 cents a year, gone because Lucas was too busy posting gym selfies. Chris texted, Lucas tried to blame me for his screw-up. Man, we need you back. The scheduling is such a mess that they've had to call clients the night before to reschedule, which is making everyone furious. Their online reviews have dropped from 4.9 stars to 3.3 in 3 weeks. Dad's apparently blaming the new system, my system, not the idiots trying to run it. One of the office staff quit because Lucas kept blaming her for his mistakes. The accounts receivable is piling up because no one's staying on top of invoicing, another thing I handled that apparently no one knew about. But what I didn't expect is that Dad had to take out a short-term loan to cover payroll because their cash flow is so messed up. The business that was solidly profitable 3 weeks ago is now scrambling to stay afloat. Emily's apparently staying late every night trying to keep things running, but she's an office manager, not an operations specialist. She can organize files and answer phones all day long, but she doesn't know the first thing about scheduling electrical jobs or managing a crew of 18 electricians with different skills and certifications. Mom's been texting me non-stop, increasingly desperate messages. Your father's working 16-hour days trying to sort out the schedule. Lucas is really trying, but he doesn't understand your system. We had to tell 3 clients we can't get to them this week. Please, Nathan, just come back for one meeting, she begged in her last text. Dad left me exactly one voicemail, slurring his words like he'd been drinking. This business was fine before your fancy systems, and it'll be fine after. You think you're irreplaceable? No one's irreplaceable. Lucas's messages have evolved from fake brotherly concern, "Hey bro, everyone's worried about you," to thinly veiled panic. "Do you still have the login for the scheduling software? Dad can't find it." To outright desperation, "Seriously, dude, just tell me how you handled the Peterson specs. Their project manager is freaking out." "You're killing us, Nathan," he texted yesterday. The only one who hasn't reached out much is Emily. She sent one email to my personal account about a week after I left. It was long, full of explanations about how she never meant to hurt me and how things with Lucas just happened and she hoped we could still be friends. At the very end, almost like an afterthought, was, "If you have time, could you possibly write up how you handled the scheduling? We're having some issues." I deleted it without responding. But then she cornered me at a coffee shop, eyes red. "I made a mistake, Nathan. Lucas isn't who I thought. Can we talk?" I walked away. Oh, and the truck. Apparently it's making a weird noise. According to Lucas's latest text, he actually had the balls to ask if I could come look at it. The truck that should have been mine. The truck that was part of my promotion but got handed to him as an engagement present. I laughed out loud and deleted it without responding. Meanwhile, I've been at Bennett for 2 weeks now, and it's like I've entered some parallel universe where competence is actually valued. Greg asks for my input on operations. My ideas get implemented instead of ignored. The other employees respect me because of my experience, not because I'm the boss's son. Yesterday, I completely redesigned their service call routing system. And Greg was so impressed he gave me a bonus on the spot, a bonus for doing my job well. About a week into my new job, I met someone too, Claire. She's an architect I met on a job site where we're doing the electrical work for a new office building in Durham. She's smart, funny, direct, not playing any games or putting on airs. On our 3rd date, we went hiking to this waterfall I'd been wanting to check out for years. Just 2 people genuinely enjoying each other's company, and she just shook her head. They had gold and treated it like dirt. Their loss, my gain. This weekend, Claire and I were at the hardware store grabbing stuff for my bathroom remodel when I spotted them. Lucas and Emily. Claire squeezed my hand when Emily noticed us and called out. Lucas turned around, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. "Hey bro." I kept it brief. Emily's eyes immediately went to Claire, then our joined hands. "How have you been?" "Good, really good. This is Claire," I said, introducing them, watching Emily size her up. Claire, absolute champion that she is, smiled and shook their hands. "Nice to meet you both. I've heard a lot about you." "Renovating Nathan's bathroom," Claire explained when Emily asked about our supplies. "I'm an architect handling the design." "An architect? That's impressive," Emily said. "I'm an office manager at my family's company," I added. "Turns out they were there because of the truck. You know, it kept making weird noises and Lucas was clueless about how to fix it." I couldn't resist. The company truck? The one that was supposed to be mine? Lucas had the decency to look embarrassed. "Yeah, that one." Claire, ever the pro, smoothly created an exit strategy with some fake dinner reservations. As we turned to leave, Emily hesitated. "Can I have a moment alone?" Claire gave me a questioning look, but I nodded. She squeezed my hand before stepping aside. Emily sighed, looking more tired than I'd ever seen her. "The engagement, we're taking it slow." Translation, Lucas's true colors were showing. "The business?" "Not the same without you. Apparently they'd hired 2 people to replace me and they were still falling behind." "Lucas, different since you left?" "Actually having to work for once in his life will do that," I said. She shifted awkwardly. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry for coming between you and your brother." I almost laughed, not in a mean way, but in a "wow, you really didn't get it" way. "Emily, you weren't the problem. You were just a symptom of a much bigger issue. My family never valued me." "The truck? That was just the final straw." She chewed her lip, glancing toward Claire. She seems nice. You two look good together. We are, I said without hesitation. She sees me for who I am. Emily nodded. She slipped me a note as I left. I'm rethinking everything, Nathan. Call me. I crumpled it, but it lingered in my mind. While driving home, my phone rang. Mom. I don't know why I answered. She sounded shocked that I picked up, but recovered quickly, launching straight into the guilt trip. They miss me. The business is struggling. Lucas is overwhelmed. Sunday dinners aren't the same without me. I let her ramble, waiting for the inevitable request. You should come by soon. Maybe we can figure things out. I'm busy every Sunday for the foreseeable future, I told her, keeping my voice level. Claire, overhearing from the passenger seat, smirked. Want me to say I told you so? Or would you prefer to just bask in the schadenfreude? Definitely basking, I said, grinning. Later that night, as we lay tangled on the couch, Claire glanced at me. Would you ever consider going back to the family business? I didn't even have to think about it, not even for a second. Never. She smiled, satisfied with that answer. I don't know what'll happen with Harper & Sons Electric. Maybe they'll figure it out. Maybe they'll crash and burn. Either way, it's not my problem. But late at night, I sometimes wonder if I burned too many bridges. If there's a piece of me still tied to that broken legacy. Freedom feels good, but it's heavy. Knowing I left my family to face the chaos I could have fixed, I chose myself, and that's enough for now. What do you think of Nathan's choice to walk away? Have you ever had to cut ties with family or a toxic workplace? Drop a comment, like, or share this story if it hit home. Your thoughts could spark a conversation that helps someone else find their strength. Let's keep the drama real and the support louder.